Hello everybody, this is Synchrosis here, and this is my super tank incinerator build. I decided I'm going to go ahead and show you on Atziri. I did make a video of this on a, on the gorge map, but I decided that this build is best shown where it kind of is really good. It's not a clear speed build, so showing it on gorge doesn't make a whole lot of sense. This build is meant to be super tanky, and be able to tank, most of the content in the game while having decent DPS as well. I've done 20 Atziri kills on this build. Hopefully this one's deathless. I've had quite a few deathless ones as well too. So as you can see, this is a 2-button wonder build right now. Everything else is automatic. I'll go over the exact gear on this build between some of the boss fights and at the end of the video. This video is going to be a little long because clear speed on this build is not like glorious or anything, but it's a good proof of concept. So quickly put, I'm running a Sibbles. This is my main way of regenerating health. And what Sibbles does is gives you health on hitting an enemy with an ability, and Incinerate works really well with that because I hit so many times. I'm hitting roughly 10 times a second per target, and it gives me 8 health per hit. So if I'm fighting 5 targets, that's going to be roughly 400 health a second. I also have Frenzy Charges and Blood Dance, which gives me like 300 regen a second as well. As you can see, I have a very large amount of health. I swapped for a Sappho's frame on 2 of the boss fights, so my health does drop down to about 5,300 when I do that, but that's still very reasonable. I designed this build because I didn't know how to do Atziri when I started this league, and I wanted a build that had some margin of error. If I did another Atziri build after this, I'd want one with higher DPS because I feel like I could probably do her without taking damage, a lot of damage at least. So for these guys, I swapped to my Sappho's because most of their damage is spells. And I use Culling Strike and slower projectiles instead of faster projectiles. I'm going to be replacing this with an Alpha's Howl, especially if I can ever get 21 gems, level 21 gems. But that's going to allow me to run Tri-Purities. Right now I have Arctic Armor instead of one of my Purities at the moment being. I'd also like to swap my shield at some point for mapping purposes to an Aegis Aurora, but I still haven't even found one for sale. I'd like to get this corrupted with either cast speed, block, +1 frenzy charge, +1 curse, anything of that nature. Use Flame Dash is really important. Flame Dash is better than Lightning Warp ever will be. Alright, go ahead and swap my stuff back out. I actually prefer Granite Flask on the Atziri fight. It seems weird, but the only non-mitigatable damage in that fight is the physical damage. And I have 0 block against her when I'm doing her. Actually, I'm going to leave the Lazar on until I get to the fight. My link setup, my 5-link is currently Incinerate, lesser multiple projectiles, faster attacks, or faster casting, Iron Will, and faster projectiles. Yes, fire penetration is good, but I feel like Iron Will probably gives me more damage because I have 478 strength. So it's a pretty tanky build. I have 54% block without the anvil on. I go up to 62% with the anvil. So that's very good, especially for a caster build. I'll show my tree and my jewels that I have on this build after I do the run. But for the purposes of trying to keep the video interesting, I'm going to show that at the end, so only people who are actually interested in the build are, there by that point. I mean, as you can tell, the clear on the trash isn't amazing by any means. It wasn't designed to be, It was designed to be able to sit here and tank it without having to worry about anything. This build I did design to do every single bit of content in the game. Every map mod can run Atziri. I don't know if it's going to be able to run Uber Atziri. I may have to use Righteous Fire for that. We'll see. I'll need at least 20 gems and probably Righteous Fire going to have enough DPS to kill her. By that point, I can probably drop the Saffles and Spell Block to get higher DPS, because I'll probably know the Atziri fight well enough. I've done I've actually done 21 attempts and killed her 20 times. My first attempt I ever did failed, but yes. So just a second, I want to message this guy. I actually don't have myself online, but I'm on the ladder. So because of the fact that I'm on the ladder, it automatically marks me online. What can you do, right? This is the only touchy fight, as it always is. Trio is by far the hardest fight in Atziri. I have 3 cast when damage taken sequences on this build. I have 1 link to Warlord's Mark, my Golem, Immortal Call, which will probably be dropped later, and something else that's not coming to mind right now, but I'll show them later. I have another one linked to EK, which is going to be dropped later too. That's not an important one. That's just because I had a green link. And it's also linked to... Doing this at the same time while playing is not super easy. Molten Shell and Tempest Shield. So I have to be careful right now. I have no floss charges, so let's remedy that. I'm going to try to do this without backing. I should be able to. I just need to get floss charges and try to avoid the bleed so I don't have to burn my my other flask. Anyway, it's linked to Molten Shell, Tempest Shield, and EK. Like I said, the EK is probably going to be dropped later. And then I have my last one is a low level one and linked to Ball Lightning, Arctic Breath, and GMP. And that's for one of my main defense besides block. Whenever I take damage, I shoot out a whole bunch of projectiles that heal me because of Sybil's Paw. Okay. No, you cannot have but a moment's respite. Alright, so took a lot of damage there. Probably a lot was unnecessary. And let's not pretend Trio's easy, but a lot of the damage I'm taking is avoidable. Alright. Not bad, not bad. Alright. Swap for AoE. Pick up my silk slivers and the jewel. Alrighty. Anyway, what else can I talk about my gear? You could use a fire Doriani's, but I want a high life Doriani's. My chest piece can gain quite a bit of life on it too. You could do this build if you wanted to with, well, you could run a Calms if you wanted to. If you wanted to drop this into a 4-link and drop something. It wouldn't be a terrible idea. I have the links to run a 4-link with my main skill, but running this off of a 4-link would not feel that good, but it would put me at like 7k health. So you can do less defensive ones that drop Sybils and use a Dune or something, or you could like use a staff and drop Lock, but at a certain point you're saying that this is no longer, you know, this build. The crappy uniques are really raining in this map. My gyms are level 19 right now, halfway to 20. So that is something that I'll be looking forward to later. I think if I can get 20 gems and a 21-20 Incinerate, as well as getting a 6-link and maybe going Righteous Fire, I probably can do Uber with that. My DPS would go up by at least double what I currently have, and good jewels too, 4-stat jewels. I currently have a couple 3-stats and a couple 2-stats. If I can get 3-stat jewels, then that would be also a pretty significant DPS boost. I will have a map in the forum thread where this is shown. I'll have a map as well in there at some point. I just decided that the most beneficial thing to show would be an Atziri run, because there's not much in the game that hits as hard as Atziri, and there's not much that's harder than Atziri, especially for a build that doesn't clear it instantly. For some builds, you know, like Shatterchuck, it trivializes the whole thing, because if you kill the entire room, if you kill Atziri instantly, then you're not spending a whole lot of time dodging anything. This build doesn't kill it instantly. So it'll show you that there is margin for error. I mean, I didn't play the trio fight perfectly, and if I was some other builds, I may have died. But there's a margin of error with this build that's really noob friendly. And I'm a noob as far as Atziri is concerned. So, swap in our Saffles. Stun a Lazwar. And Calling Strike instead of less or multiple projectiles. Alright. So you can see my health is 5,300 without my shield on, or the Saffles. So if I swap to an Aegis and an Alpha's Howl, I will still have over 5k health, even without health on either of those. So that is really nice. I'll probably end up like getting the Divination card for the 6-link Astral Plate. That's a really good base for me. It also helps me out with some of my resistances. My resistances are kind of hard to get because I'm running double Alarion jewelry, along with quite a few uniques, and uniques are usually notorious for having low reses on them. One thing about Atziri is not a DPS race. The split phases, but the Atziri fight herself isn't. You can only ever do a quarter of her health in these phases. So it's not as if I can kill her that much faster by being a higher DPS. The split phase can be a DPS race, but I actually decided I like running 4 health flasks on her instead of running 2 utilities, because it makes a split phase just easier. You don't want to get hit by those. Those hurt really freaking hard. I've been one hit by that with 5,300 health. So, very large priority to dodge those. And you can't really do damage in that form anyway. You pretty much should just be dodging. So, there's no reason to spend time trying to DPS her right there. All the damage you do to her is after her ad phase. So right now is all the damage I'm doing to her. I'll get her to half health, and then she'll go into a split phase again. It's important to not take damage in this phase, because I don't want to burn frost charges. The hardest phase is split phase, so I want to try to not burn any frost charges before split phase. I like doing this side of the map because of I have the most room and I have the best view. However, you can do it in the top left if this is a mirror. Culling Strike is actually really nice because it just kind of, it's calm to killing these forms. Luckily I blocked that. I thought I had a Ruby Flask, which is why I popped my Granite right there. I wouldn't have died by that Flame Blast. So, you know, whatever. Doesn't really matter anyway. At the first, I was running LMP to try to clear these and trying to do gem swaps, so I figured out I could do it with Culling Strike. So, I mean, sometimes I miss a couple of the zombies, but it doesn't matter. For the most part, I get them all. Flame Surge or Flame Dash is so good for this, though. Spell Block is really useful for when you screw up, you know. It's quite nice. What I've learned is I don't want to be stingy with potions. If I'm ever not full health, I just need to use a potion. It's really interesting to me that must be considered a spell, because I have 0% chance to block physical attacks. So that spinning move is considered a spell. Because I have blocked that. So. I mean, I could be wrong, maybe I'm not blocking it, maybe it's just, it's just missing me. But I have, you know, no dodge, I have no spell block, or, no evasion, because I have unwavering stance. So. Should be able to kill her right here. And there we go. Thank you guys. Wow. That, like, 9x kill of Atziri right there. Perfect for a video, right? Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Thank you. And if you want to watch my stream, it's twitch.tv/SINCURSUS, Syncursus. I've been streaming a lot between usually about 2 p.m. and like 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That will get adjusted to probably stopping streaming at 2 or 3 a.m. and starting up a little later once you know, I cool down. Well, thank you very much for watching. Let me quickly go over my gym setups, and then we'll end with my tree, and then we'll go from there. So, like I said, GMP, Ball, Lightning, Arctic Breath, pretty simple. Here I have my Purities. Those will eventually be in my helmet, so I'll have to drop one of my 4 links into a 3 link. That's fine. I have Flame Dash with Blood Magic and Faster Casting. Faster Caster is not necessary, but I like it. Faster Casting, Iron Will, Incinerate, Faster Prod, and Culling Strike. Here I have Arctic Armor, but that's irrelevant. I'm not going to be using that later. Here I have Cast 1 Damage Taken, EK, Tempest Shield, and my Molten Shell. And then I have another Cast 1 Damage Taken, Warlord's Mark, Summon Chaos Golem, and Immortal Call. This kind of automates a lot of the process. If we quickly look at my tree, you'll see that I branched out and grabbed Jewel Sockets, some Cast Speed, block, come over here, come down this way, grab a lot of block and health, Unwavering Stance, come over here, get Prod damage, block, Frenzy Charge, Jewel Socket. I run 5 Frenzy Charges. Up here, Cast Speed, Health, I'll be grabbing this Jewel shortly. In 1 level, I'll be grabbing that Jewel. I'll respec 1 point, I don't remember where I put it, but I'll be re-speccing 1 point and grabbing that. If we look at my jewels, we have this one. It's a 2-stat jewel because the mana is useless for me. This one is a 4-stat, quite good. All of my jewels are pretty much self-crafted. Get a blue, regal it, hope it's good. This is another 3-stat. I regaled on like Project Damage or Life or something like that on that one. This is, I believe, a 2-stat. Yep, 2-stat. And then this one is also a 2-stat. Cast speed is better than, so life and cast speed are the most important ones, but you can't cherry pick it. So getting your fire damage and project damage is fine too. A lot of my damage on this build comes from the jewels. I get a lot of block. A perfect jewel would be 2 damage mods, life, and block. But I can't ask for the world sometimes. Anyway, thank you for watching, and catch you next time.